Once upon a time, we had a man named Chase, and we cooked with him. And you people like that shit. But he doesn't do it anymore because he's a little bitch. Welcome to a new show. Welcome to Game Grumps, Pokemon Pit, U-turn, Kesha Beanie Country. Anyways, what's up guys? I figured I would dress up for Halloween. Might have a reference picture run. But I'm also gonna have two co-hosts, one on my left and then the other one is going to be on my right. I don't know where these are gonna be after I edit, but yeah, after I'm done you should go check out their takes on it because we're gonna be making poffins today, the popular food from 4th gen that you would feed your Pokemon and stuff, as opposed to just making like bacon in a pan like Chase would do. We're fucking fancier than that. Anyway, let's cut to the set. Okay, so stuff you're gonna need for your poffins today. You're gonna need a large mixing bowl. You're gonna need a sieve, little strainer thing for your flour. You're gonna need a baking tray with some aluminum foil on it to bake these some bitches on. And as for your ingredients, they're gonna be listed on the screen, but I've already done you guys the liberty of having them out here for you right now. You're gonna need about 1/3 cup of milk. You're gonna need 1.5 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1/2 tablespoon of salt. I saw you fuck up on that one. Shut up. 1.5 cups of white flour, 1 egg, beaten egg, 1/2 teaspoon of fast action dried yeast. I'm reading this off my iPod.
Fast action, oh girl.
And then we are making.
Sorry.
Holy crap. Okay, and we're making different colors. Zed, I believe, will be making blue poffins. Joey will be making yellow ones. The color I have chosen of choice is red. So. You can also put filling in these, like jam, like whatever the hell you want. I'll show you guys how to do them, but I am actually not going to put anything in them, just because we get to skip a step.
Poffins in their natural form.
Basically. And then there's other stuff, but now we can actually get on to making them. So, okay, so for your first step, you're going to want to have a pot on low heat, and you're going to want to warm the milk, the butter, the sugar, and the salt. And you want all of those together until the butter melts. Shit, I need a spoon. And then once you're done with that, you're going to want to pour it into a fairly large bowl, which I happen to have right here. And then once you got that, you're going to want to sieve 1/2 of the flour into this. 1/2 of the flour you got here. I'm just going to go ahead and eyeball it, and I completely fucked that up. But this is going to take a while. So, and then once you got that all sieved in, you're going to want to sprinkle in your yeast and stir that. It's sticking on the bottom there. And then you're going to stir that in until that's pretty much in there completely. And then that's going to be the fun part. You gotta stir the rest of this. And then once you're done with that, you're going to want to add in the rest of the flour and the egg as well. Now you want to get a little bit of flour on your hands because we're going to need it for this next step. This thing really isn't very cosplay friendly, but hey, that's why I took off one of the gloves. So, and then now that we see the rest of the flour into there, which is one step I forgot to do, we're going to add the rest of the egg. And we're just gonna go ahead and mix that shit into our dough.
Action.
Holy tits, this is really sticky stuff. Don't be afraid, we actually added a little bit of flour to it. I know it said 1.5 cups, but that was kinda under, so if you wanna go over by a tiny bit, go for it. But right now what we're gonna do while I'm kneading it is we're gonna add the food coloring to it. Just a couple drops though. There is such thing as pink poffins, so if we undershoot it by a little bit, that is okay too. If we overshoot it, great. I'm shooting for red. There we go. A little more. Mix this shit in. Okay, I can't even see how pink it is through my glasses because they add a yellow tint, so it still kind of looks brown to me. But if I look down a little bit, this thing's looking kind of pink. I think we're gonna settle for the pinkish reddish because my hands are actually getting a little sore from how much kneading I've been doing to this sumbitch. So you're supposed to knead it for around 10 minutes according to the kitchen clock. It's been around I think a little over 10, but to be honest, this isn't the consistency I thought it would be. We got this recipe from the fine folks over at Gourmet Gaming. I'll pop a link to them in the description right now. But after this, I gotta check the directions really quick. Okay, and now that you got all the food coloring mixed in, you're going to split it up into even portions. This particular recipe calls for 6, but I'm just gonna go ahead and, actually that probably wouldn't be the best way to do that. You'd want to split this up in 3, and then split those up into half. So, we'll just choke a bitch like this. And then you're going to want to split these as well. So. Now these are going to come out being like a dark pink. We're not really going to get a true red on this, even if we try. But I think the recipe on the actual site calls for a large bowl for this part to let them sit in. We just need to let the yeast rise, so I really don't give a fuck what it's going to be. But we got 6. We're going to let them sit for about an hour. And I got a little part of the special for you. I got together with the other 2 cooks and we had some battles. So I'm going to go ahead and run those during the longer portions of this recipe. So we'll take it away on that. Shit, I forgot a couple steps before the battle. You should put flour underneath them so they don't stick to whatever surface they got going on. That's what I went and did. And I forgot the plastic wrap. So we're going to hit that with a layer of it. Now you just want to leave it out. You don't want to put it in the fridge because yeast rises with heat, with warmth, not with heat. Same kind of thing. Just that's not an invitation to go put it in the oven is what I'm trying to say. Turn this off. And that'll do it. We'll check on these guys in about an hour or so. And then we'll pop them in the oven. That'll be a short trip as well. And we should be good from there. Anyways, while we wait for the yeast to rise on those some bitches, and we got some other downtime going on with that. I had some matches against Zed himself and Joey himself, you know, my 2 partners in crime for this little cooking project here. And we decided to put some Halloween rules to them. I will kind of explain them as we go along if I get some time to fill in. But the teams look different because they're kind of Halloween-y rules. And we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it as soon as it decides to start whenever. Now would be great. Okay, cool. So rules for this that I kind of ran over with them and was like, okay, let's have only ghost, only psychic, only dark, and only bug, because those are kind of creepy types in themselves. Psychic types can be kind of creepy. And the other rule is that half your team has to be the color of the poffin that you're making. So with the type restriction and the color restriction, you do have some interesting things happening. As you can see, NBZ's chosen all poffin names. But we're going to go ahead and get into the actual match right now. He led off with a Spiritomb. I led off with my Rotom Cut. I did not really understand why he made this switch initially, but it makes sense on this turn, and it made sense like not even 5 minutes ago to me while I was editing this. But he thought I was going to go for the trick to dodge a Sucker Punch or something like that. And he ends up going out into his Jellicent, which happens to be Scarfed, which explains why it outspeeds my Banded Crocodile. So he went for the Blizzard, probably expecting my Rotom to come back in again. Wasn't really the case. I just decided to leave this thing in, and I'm pretty sure I could have taken an unstabbed Blizzard. Don't quote me on that, but maybe I could have. I don't know. But he goes out to Scizor. I do not want to take a Bullet Punch. And I'm actually locked into Crunch as well, so I kind of don't have a choice except to switch out. But he goes for Bug Bite, doesn't really do shit, and I'm going to go ahead and be able to set up a sub as he goes into his Wobbuffet. Now, this is a small oversight on my behalf, but the information he had in his head at the time was not really beneficial to the next couple of turns that end up happening. But he goes for an Encore on my sub. I don't really mind, because the lower I get myself on HP, the more I'm going to be able to Paint Split back. And as long as I'm behind a sub, it's fun times for everybody. So he brings in Jirachi. I see sub, kind of poop myself a little, but not really, because he doesn't remember that Curse actually goes through subs. Paint Split doesn't. And I actually will be able to live the Curse damage. Not that it really matters too much to me, as long as I can stall in here for X amount of turns. What is it, like 4 or 5 or whatever? But he's starting to set up, and I'm actually going to go ahead and be able to get away with this from behind the sub, and he's going to lose 25% of his HP every turn. So we got that going on. His setup is not gonna last long at all. I believe he's gonna hit my sub with the psychic, which is gonna break it after the +1. I don't know if he'd be able to break it stock, depending on his EVs, maybe not, whatever. But takes that thing out. I'm going to go for a Nightshade. I don't really care whether or not it breaks it, because as long as Dusclops stays in here, I think maybe I go for another Nightshade right here. He's got a lot of HP, so that kind of confirms to me right there, since I hadn't hit the sub prior, that he's running max HP. Maybe max speed. I don't know what kind of build he's got, but I'm going to switch out into my Crocodile because I know that the most common moveset to have on this thing is Sub, Calm Mind, Psychic, and more than likely T-Bolt. And conveniently enough, this thing actually walls Psychic and Electric moves, which is really awesome. So I got him in a really bad spot. He's going to try to salvage it for later. I end up going for the Crunch because the Ladio switch-in was really obvious, and Crunch does hit for neutral, and, you know, I don't really think that Jirachi can touch me anyway, so this switch was really fucking obvious to me. I don't know why he did it, but could have just left it in the die. Hey, oversight. But once again, I am locked in on Crunch, and this Scizor is kind of a problem, but I'm going to Death Fodder my Dusclops right here as he decides to go for whatever the fuck he wants it. He goes for Bug Bite. That's going to be enough to take it out. No problem at all. What happens next? There's something funny that comes up, which is kind of why this is the trick-or-treat portion of this match, but I don't think it happens yet. So I got a Hydreigon here. The thing about this guy is he's Choice Specs, and he is actually going to 2-hit KO this Spiritomb with an unstab move, despite, you know, Spiritomb actually having a respectable amount of bulk. Hydreigon is just a big fucking problem, but Flamethrower does a pretty good chunk. I don't know if his Spiritomb happened to be banded. That does a little bit more than I thought it would. But gonna go for another Flamethrower and just take him out. So he's got this, he's got Scizor, and he's got Wobbuffet left. Now this part was fucking hilarious. This is where shit really starts to hit the fan, and I'm dying at this point. So I go for Flamethrower because I'm trapped, and Mirror Coat doesn't affect me because I am actually part Dark, and Mirror Coat is a Psychic-based move. So fucking awesome. Kind of works out great with Golurk too, because Golurk would be immune to the counter, and he's got no choice but to stay in here and tickle me. This is probably the first time I've seen Tickle actually used on anything, but it's lowering my attack and my defense. Not that I really care too much about my attack, but it is lowering my defense to the point where Scizor is going to be able to take me out with Bullet Punch, and I say, hey, that's fine. He's going to get a couple tickles off. I do have some other pokes to deal with the situation, and I'm just going to be able to take him out with a Flamethrower at this point. I completely forgot about Mirror Coat not affecting me, and there's not much you can do at that point besides Tickle, because I don't think anything else of his wants to take a Flamethrower, and I was dying. It was hilarious, but owing to the defense drops, and, you know, he is more than likely adamant with Life Orb. That probably should have done it just stock, you know, that's kind of just rubbing it in, but that happens, and this was kind of a risky play. Thinking about it, it could have cost me the match, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna freaking trick, because this is a Halloween special. We gotta have tricks and treats going on. So I give him the Choice Scarf, get the Life Orb, and it turns out he goes for the Swords Dance, expecting me to Volt Switch, I would assume, but no, I lock him in on Swords Dance. Don't dance around me, Zed. You're just going to end up having to switch out. But now that I got the Life Orb, I do have the HP Fire, and it's probably would have just taken Jirachi out from regular. I mean, I could have gone for HP Fires, but you know what, NBZ, it's just not enough to troll you with just one freaking one trick. I have to do it 2 matches in a row. But why is that? There's one cloud going across the screen that is really thick. I don't understand it. But even with the Choice Scarf, he's not faster than my Rotom, which is kind of silly. But take him out with an HP Fire. And that is this game. So we'll go back and check on the Poffins. And then while they're cooking, I'm actually going to go ahead and play back a second game. But that'll do it for this, guys. And I'll see you in the kitchen. Okay, so we kind of learned, well, I kind of learned the hard way that yeast is kind of a bitch, so they didn't really rise as much as I was expecting that they would, just owing to the temperature. But what you want to do now is you want to preheat the oven, set it to 350. That just shows what time it is in the morning. Or, yeah, we're up late on this project, but that's okay. And we went and put the rest of the egg in at the beginning because we figured we would just beat another egg, and you're gonna want to lightly coat the tops of them with little egg bubble. Just give them a little coat.
Bless you.
Bless me, yeah. And I kind of fucked up that middle one because we tried getting the right temperature for this shit. I keep forgetting that this isn't Arizona anymore, and you can't just leave shit out on the counter and expect it to work that way. It's a little colder here. So I guess for you guys that live in colder areas, you can heat up the oven a little bit, let it cool off a little bit. You don't want them to cook. This is unfortunately not this is just the first test batch, so it's going about as good for me as it might go for you guys. But I got the egg on there. I also forgot to mention that if you're gonna put stuff in them, ours rose and they cracked, but generally they won't have cracks in them. But you should be able to just spread it open a little bit and then push it down, put your filling on it, and then fold it back over very gently. And we don't have any jam, but that's what you do. You wouldn't want to put a lot in there either. But the directions make it very clear how you're gonna do it. I just don't really know how to explain it because we're not putting anything in them. So we got that going on, and as soon as that light turns off, we're gonna know that the oven's good to go. And I'm just not even gonna bother with that. We're just gonna put them in the oven. Oh, we have to put them on that pan. That's right. That's right. Fuck the thing. Now, the one thing that we did kind of fuck up on as well is we're supposed to shape them before we let them rise. I figured we could do that after we let them rise, but then they just kind of deflate. They go. So
They look like fine poffins.
Kind of my first lesson with yeast, but they're kind of shaped like footballs, just for future reference. And then there's this one that kind of looks like a chewed up wad of gum. Look at it. Ugh, what happened?
That's yours, because you fucked them up.
I fucked that one up. I fucked that one up big time. Is there anything else? No, that's it. We'll come back to these after they've cooked in the oven for about 10 minutes or so.
Can you please put that in?
I hope those poffins turn out okay, because I'm actually kind of hungry. But got another game. This is more of our treater one. This is against Joey. And he chose for his yellow things, I believe, to be Jirachi, Beedrill, and oddly enough, Caterpie. Now, he tried to trick me on this one, because this Caterpie is up to some shenanigans. But I'm going to go ahead and lead off with Rotom once again, because it is my Scarfer. And he's going to send in a yellow Caterpie, level 3. I didn't really know the gimmick behind this either, but it turns out it outspeeds me and fucking explodes, because he's that kind of guy and he gen stuff. This is, I guess, a Choice Banded explosion, but for whatever reason his attack glitched up. His speed was fine because it outsped Rotom, but attack was like nothing. It didn't fucking work at all, but he fails to trick me on that one. Sorry, buddy, got my trick off on Zed. And I get the Volt Switch on the Beedrill because he wanted to bring a yellow bug, so why not? Volt Switch out into my Dusclops as he ends up going for a U-turn himself, ultimately getting the advantage in this situation. I believe he's going to take the time to go into his Tyranitar here just to get his Stealth Rocks up and get the weather up as well. Not that it really ends up... I think the weather just kind of hurts all of us in general, so... whatever, kind of a thing there. But gonna bring in Espeon now because of Stealth Rocks. I don't see Joey as the type of player to just go for the crunch right off the bat. If he really wanted to go more offensive, he probably would have just gone out to something else other than this. His T-Tars tend to be a little bit more defensive, since, you know, from what I watch. So I'm gonna set up screens because I know he's gonna try to set up on the switch, and he ends up going for the double Stealth Rocks. If Stealth Rocks is layered, I'd be having a fucking field day right now. That Beedrill would be dead on switching, but I'm gonna get some more screens up, and I'm thinking on one of these next turns that he's probably gonna expect me to want to switch out because I really don't have any business staying in here. But I'm actually gonna go for the Morning Sun. Despite it being in the sand, I just don't want him getting a Stealth Rock set up. I thought he was gonna try to do it right there, but he ends up going for Stone Edge. And I know I didn't recover much off the morning sun, but I'm going to switch out right now. He makes a brilliant play and actually decides to set up the, well, not brilliant, but really my Espeon couldn't have done anything because it just has psychic coverage. Anyways, he finally gets the rocks up, but I do end up getting rocks on his side of the field. I don't think he has a spinner either, so Beedrill's in trouble. Frostlass is going to be kind of hurting too. And he sends this thing in as I'm actually going to end up going for a sub. This is a sub SD, I believe, dual stab set. I'm kind of scared of the Destiny Bond, to be honest, because now that I see that he's faster than me, it means that he's running more of a, I'm not going to say offensive, but he's less bulky than I think he is. So he's actually going to be able to Destiny Bond before before I'm able to hit him, is what I'm trying to say. So go for a Mega Horn from behind the sub. I didn't really want a Sword Dance because I thought for whatever reason he was going to have the taunt. And it turns out he's just going to end up going for the spikes. So there's something that happens here that I found kind of interesting. I thought if he had the Destiny Bond, looking at that damage, maybe I could bring him low enough to the point where Sandstorm would take him out and my actual move wouldn't, which is kind of important because if he did go for the Destiny Bond, then it wouldn't register as a kill by that. And I would still keep my hair crossed. I wouldn't get the Moxie boost, but I would still be behind a sub and I would still have it alive. Unfortunately, because I do get that range right on the money, and I kind of get it where I want it to be, I don't get the Moxie boost off of this. And he brings in a Jirachi just based on the way he brought it in. I'm going to assume that he's faster than me right off the bat. I don't have any boost, so I'm not going to try risking it. But I bring in my Espeon right now, a switch fodder, just to see what kind of Jirachi he is, what he wants to do. Excuse me. Turns out he's going to end up going for the Iron Head. So I think he is Scarf, but my Reflect wears off, and that is kind of a problem. But I'm going to go into my Crocodile, you know, maybe lulling him into the sense that I am Scarf myself. I'm actually Banded, and I believe I kind of pick the wrong move here because I end up going for an Earthquake, and I think he's got something for that. No. Okay, what happens here is both of my screens wear off, and he brings in his Genesect. Now, Genesect is a fucking problem, but I was not expecting a Rock Polish set, and all of a sudden, I'm in a lot of trouble thanks to this thing. Same guy that brought the freaking Caterpie on turn 1 is going to end up giving me a lot of trouble, so go figure. But I go into my Dusclops. It's the best thing I have to take hits, but it takes a lot from hazards, and that's just not fun. So he's going to go for a Rock Polish, get a lot of speed up. I don't care if he you know, brings me down to a low amount of HP, but as long as he doesn't take me out, I can go for a Curse, and then I won't end up with my ass getting swept. So there's that. Gonna take myself out owing to that. He doesn't take Sandstorm damage, but he does take Curse damage, and he's only gonna be around for maybe, what, 3 more turns? So I just gotta send in a few things to die, or try to play around it a little bit. I know he's faster, so we might as well just see what he's got on his moveset. So send in my Rotom. Not going to be that useful against Jirachi, I believe, unless it starts going for Iron Heads or whatever. It probably shouldn't have been the thing to send in at first, but going to go into my Hydreigon because I think I can bait him into going for the Ice Beam. Although he could have gone for the Bug Buzz, I think he just ends up... No. What did he do? He ended up going for the Bug Buzz, I think. And that's what I was trying to do. So he ends up going for that because it's stab, blah, blah, blah. And he should have just kept going for Ice Beam because that play right there is what's going to save me from getting my ass swept by this thing because it's just the one turn I needed in order to rack up some more curse damage. I don't care if my Heracross dies. I'm pretty sure that my Hydreigon can deal with a Jirachi. So he takes me out the Flamethrower. This thing really put a hole in my team, and I am not okay with that. So Joey ended up getting his treat in this game. Got to use a Caterpie, and the score is relatively even thanks to the arguably better bug type in this situation. But gonna go into my Hydreigon as he goes into his Jirachi because he sees that he takes Stealth Rock's damage first. He's gonna end up being faster, goes for the Iron Head. Fortunately, does not get the flinch, and I'm going to be able to hit him with the Specs Flamethrower, and because he's an offensive build, he's not going to be able to take this at all, and just kind of ends up dying. So, get a crit, kind of useless, don't think it mattered. I think he thought I was Specs, and I was like, maybe I'm Expert Belt. No, he sends in T-Tar. He's got that right on the money, but I think I just leave this thing in to die because I have something else to deal with T-Tar that I'm not really... Oh, you know what? I still have my Crocodile. So, there's that. He's going to Stone Edge, and then I can just bring in Crocodile immediately after for the revenge kill, and I believe the game as well. So, got our little Halloween games going on here,
And it's kind of unfortunate that Joey's not able to upload his end because of the hurricane. But you're gonna see ours. You're gonna see mine and Zed's. Well, you're watching it right now, and you maybe already came from Zed's, depending. But my point is you're gonna end up seeing Joey's probably in the near future as soon as he gets power and internet back. So there's that. But hope you guys enjoyed both of these games, and we're gonna go ahead and check on our little confection dessert things in the kitchen right about now.
Okay, an important thing to note about these is if you did decide to put food coloring in your poffins, you're going to want to put little things of tinfoil on them, probably around midway through, in order to prevent them from browning too much. They kind of have a little brown tinge to them. I didn't want them getting too bad. I still wanted them to kind of keep their original red coloring to them. And the recipe also called for some icing. And we don't have a lot of icing going on, but how you make that is you get, the recipe calls for water and powdered sugar, but we opted to put some butter in there to make it a little creamier looking, and it's got a better consistency to it. If you like thinner icing, then add more water to it, but if you like it a little thicker, then just add sugar or water until you get to a consistency that you're more or less okay with. So you got that going on. We can't put the icing until they cool off. We're probably going to do that overnight. But this is the first batch of poffins I've ever tried. So I'm pretty sure we all remember back in Diamond and Pearl when we tried fucking around with poffins for the first time. You didn't make winners. Spoilers. So there's that. The only real thing I found really disappointing about this recipe is that it only makes 6. I'm not sure if they were supposed to come out way bigger, but this came out kind of small. So if we ever decide to revisit this, we're probably going to end up making more than this, because this was not nearly enough. But that'll do it. I don't have any sprinkles for these guys like there was in the picture that I'm going to leave at the end of this, but we're just going to put some icing on, and I'll let you know how they taste in the comments section after I upload this tomorrow morning. So hope you guys enjoyed the battles. Hope you enjoyed the cooking. Chase, you suck, and you should probably start cooking with Wilechase again, because that's kind of a thing. In fact, you guys should go spam his channel right now. I'll leave that in the description as well. And I'll catch you guys later. Have a good Halloween. Ah, fuck. Who's gonna help me with the dishes? Shit.